Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Square Cut Show. Look who is here on Square Cut Show. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Alpha. I welcome Micheal Ndiko. Welcome to Square Cut Show.
Thank you very much, Alpha.
It's good to see you.
Thank you. Good to see you too.
It's been a minute.
Indeed, it's been a little while, but glad to see you again, sir.
I can't believe it, we are here. We have been organizing this for almost a year. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Uganda. We are in Africa. We are all spreading all over the world. This is a gentleman who has played it all in cricket. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm with one of the legends who has played cricket all over the world. Mike, I welcome you again once again.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, how has been your day?
Oh, the day is fine. It's still interesting weather, but altogether very glad to be alive and enjoying this right here in Uganda.
All right. So, Mike, I would like you to tell us about yourself and who is Mike exactly?
Wow. Thank you, Alpha. I'm Micheal Grace Ndiko. Yeah, I'm not afraid to say it. 47 years, very young. I'm son to Mr. Pithi, John Ndiko.
Okay.
And my mom, Beatrice Janet Ndiko, of course, she's rested.
Oh,
May her soul rest in peace.
yeah.
And I stay in Kampala. I love cricket, and I'm very happy to be on this show.
Oh, nice to see you. Nice to see you. Nice to see you. Thank you very much. So now we want to talk about cricket. Mike, when did you start playing a game of cricket?
Wow.
Oh, yeah, because the viewers out there, they would like to know the year, as in when you started playing cricket, what transpired at that time when you were playing cricket, equipment-wise.
It's very interesting. You do ask when. It's at times very hard for me to place the finger because all my life I've known cricket, really.
Wow.
From about the age of about maybe 3 or 4. I mean, that's how far my memory goes. When I was, by then my dad was the headmaster of Soga College, Mweri, and sometimes he would host different cricket teams, the Abagurusi, the elderly, coming there. Okay, not elderly, but basically people above 30 years of age.
Yeah.
And in Uganda, they are called older people because of the nature of Uganda's demography. But that's when I first had my interaction with cricket. I watched these guys all in white. They were angelic in appearance to me.
Okay.
And they were out there in the field enjoying, and I just loved the game of cricket. That's when I really got the interest. But I remember specifically, I think I got my first bat at the age of 6. My dad bought for me a bat. So I want to say that's when I began playing cricket.
At the age of 6?
Yes.
My God. Now guys are trying to calculate when you were born because you've told them 47. Now they're trying to remove the 6 years.
Yeah, it's 41 years ago.
Yeah. That is now when that is what they're trying to calculate around.
I appreciate it.
Wow, that is good. That is good.
Thank you.
Okay. So now before joining cricket, I know you were young. What games were you playing really?
Yeah, actually you ask a very interesting question. Once I was in cricket, because it was more family, natural as a child, you feel like going out there to do something else.
Yeah.
So I really got very interested in football, and especially at the age of about 9, 10, 11, 12, I was so much into football.
Yeah.
By then I was staying in Jinja, so I used to play for a club called Alidina Football Club in Jinja.
Wow.
Had a number of great names
footballer, eh?
that went on actually to play even for Uganda, for that team in Alidina in Jinja, yes. And then of course I did play some bit of volleyball and baseball.
Yeah.
As well as tennis.
Okay.
Yes.
So now transitioning from football to cricket, what really inspired you to play cricket? Or who inspired you?
Well, like I mentioned earlier on, I was in Mweri earlier as a child to the headmaster, but now I went there as a student in S1. And once I joined Mweri, well, even before joining, when I was still about 9, 10, 11, I would always go to watch Mweri playing against other clubs, and I was so inspired. I said, wow, I should join Mweri because of the cricket as well. So in my S1, once I joined immediately, I was very interested in becoming part of the school team, which I did in my S1. So that was my inspiration.
Actually, do you know that gone are the days when cricket was played a lot in schools? Don't you miss that time?
Well, times change, and realities of life are that sometimes you accept certain social changes and dynamics that do occur. But yes, definitely, to me that was culture. It was a heritage to be a part of those traditional schools You had to play either cricket or football, or you're into athletics. Besides your academics, you had to have that as your addition. So definitely, I wish it could come back, but again, here we are today.
What I remember at school, people had those unique things that would encourage them, inspire them to play the game of games. Now, to you, like, what was so unique in playing the game of cricket in the schools there during the school time?
Of course, I'm mentioning so much Mweri, but I mean, of course, there's King's College Budo. And to me, one of my greatest memories is when we went to play against King's College Buda's school.
Yeah.
And we traveled all the way there. But backtrack a bit, right from 1991 when I was in S1, to me what inspired me most about playing cricket, what was unique is, first of all, you had an opportunity to travel and go out of school, which was not so easy for all other sports. Then secondly, you would even travel all the way to Kampala, you would even go all the way up to Budo. So that to me, just the traveling alone. And yes, I was a teenager, so yes, food, very nice food. That was also another inspiration.
Actually, when I remember that time when we were playing the game of cricket, what used to inspire us here at Lugogo, were the sugar canes. I remember they used to bring sugar canes.
Yes.
What are the days? Those 90s, eh?
Yes.
Yeah. We used to, those later 90s, we used to chew a lot of sugar canes, and they started also bringing bread. Those are some of the things that inspired me to remain even in cricket.
Absolutely.
And now, like for you, you've talked about food and the traveling.
Actually, the food to me, those days when you're in school, the quality of food wasn't that very good. The normal food.
Yeah.
The portion beans with a bit of weevils. Yeah. Someone said that those were the little ingredients, the unique cuisines that enabled some of us to gain the bodies and that we have. But yeah, that aside, you knew that when you go for a cricket match, you're going to eat a very nice, well-made meal. And as a teenager, I'm looking back, that was a very important thing. And you take very nice juice. You do mention bread, tea, but we knew we were going to take very nice juice. I mean, yeah, it sounds like ages ago, but those were big deals by then. Forget about pizza and KFC, they weren't yet here.
No.
Yes.
At that time, we had chicken tonight in Wandegia. You remember in Wandegia when we used to go for cricket week, chicken tonight?
Interestingly, I think I missed out on that chicken, but yeah, it was a rare thing. It wasn't necessarily
Romalos, those are the things.
Oh yes, those were some of. Well, you've traveled a bit. You were a Kampala boy for sure. Me, I was more in Ginger. Yes.
And trust me, even right now,
yes,
I don't know where Romalos is. I think it faded. I don't know. But chicken tonight, it's still there.
Wow.
They have really maintained their quality.
I should order for something from them soon, now that you've given them good mileage already.
Yeah, surely.
Yes.
So what I can say, at that time we used to have a lot of challenges that we used to encounter. So I really want to know what did you encounter and what made you believe that you can go through them while you were beginning to play cricket?
Yeah, first and foremost was equipment. Yeah. Equipment was so expensive and very rare. For example, we used to get donations from the UK and they would send you some equipment. You would wonder if it was from the 19th or 18th century. Sorry, no pun intended, it was real, because some of those pads had sticks within them to create the cushioning part. Yeah. And as you use them, because they are growing older, the sticks would stick out. And as you're running, it would pierce you. It was complicated, the equipment alone. Then sometimes some people didn't have the ball guards. Yeah, you're smiling, but it was a big deal by then. And definitely there were no helmets. Wow. So you kind of learned to go into cricket as a risky sport. Yes, there will be one or two helmets, maybe owned by one or two people, but you couldn't share it all together as a team. So some of us, by then, I prefer to bat later on in the inning when the slower bowlers are on and I don't need to use the helmet. I'm just putting on my cap.
So what was that feeling of having the helmet on and having it off?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, just like we're seated right now in this place, the breeze coming over your ears and your hair, and just feeling that cold breeze over your head. Definitely batting without helmet was much better. Yeah. And interestingly, we would not even put on a cape for some reason. At some point, some people used to say that the cape would kind of block their view to the ball, so they would just go completely with an open head. So yeah, the feeling was kind of ecstatic, but very dangerous, especially when you're facing some good change bowlers or some proper pace bowlers. Like I remember at a particular time when I faced the late Mr. Kapere.
Oh, okay.
Yes, Stephen, he was quite quick and he had a very good nip.
Yeah.
And I went there without a helmet. I remember one of the games.
Yeah.
And he nipped it. Thank God I just also, swung it good top edge, 6 runs. But yeah, it was always very exciting and adrenaline, all that. Later on, of course, I had to adjust and learn how to play with the helmet on.
Yeah. Oh. Micheal Ndiko joining us on Square Cuts. We are here live in Kampala.
Thank
Uganda,
you.
And mostly Lugogo cricket over.
Oh, yes. Our very cradle of cricket. We've all had it here.
Yeah.
Even while it was still a matting.
Yeah.
Then later on it became AstroTurf.
Yeah.
And now it is a complete grass wicket.
Yeah.
So we've seen all the transitions and all the edges, but yes, so many memories right here in this grass. I wish I was even barefooted just to feel again this grass. Because so many memories, so many things that have happened on this ground. I know many changes have happened. There were not so many vehicles passing on Ginger Road by then, and some of the high rises you may see in the background were not there. Yeah. Even just behind us there, the whole establishment of the the shopping complex there.
Yeah.
All those were not there. So, wow, Lugogo was always such a memory. You always looked forward to coming to Lugogo.
And what I'm also excited of is that at least as we are here having a chat with you, at the background, there is cricket taking on.
Oh yes.
Coaching, training, all that is taking on at the background,
Absolutely.
Yeah. At least it shows there is a continuous development of the game, growth of the game, So at least that is one of the things that I'm inspired of. I'm so excited of it.
Indeed.
So what?
And indeed, yes, I was just saying, I've seen a couple of youngsters here, and it's a complete mix. There's a diversity. I see some Asian looking children, probably some of them are Ugandans by birth now.
Yeah.
But I also see some of our national team bowlers right there in the background.
Yeah.
But it just shows the whole etiquette and the culture, the work ethos of hard work paying off for a sportsman. It's very good to see. But especially to see the youngsters here in the field. That's what I was also saying.
Awesome.
Yes.
Awesome. So what are those memorable games you remember? What was that memorable game you remember during your cricket week time?
Well, definitely my most treasured memory is 13 years of age, just a teenager, right there in the middle in Lugogo, becoming the best bowler at schools cricket week national competition.
Huh?
Oh yes.
We know you as a batter.
Well, I was short and small, so I was a spin bowler, and the ball could actually turn. Right now, some people make fun that I know how to bowl a straight spin. it just keeps the batters guessing until they are bowled out. But yes, that to me is very precious because my dad was watching. I was with some of my childhood friends. They were around, and it was a big deal because the schools cricket week. Oh, the key thing is, by the time I came to the schools cricket week, at the age of 13, I had actually been to about 4 other schools cricket week. From the age of 9, I used to come and watch, not to play.
Okay.
Because I was still in primary school.
Yeah.
But I would come with my father and we watch it was a kind of like a pilgrimage to Lugogo every October. I beg your pardon, August, July. And it was so great. So to be now part of the schools cricket week proper, and I get to be the best bowler, to me that's a very great memory I treasure.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So without wasting any time, I would like to ask you, when did you make it to the national team?
Wow, 30 years ago.
Wow.
1995, May, Dar es Salaam.
Oh.
That was my debut.
And what was that feel?
Oh yes.
Can you pass us through that feel of getting onto the national team?
It was so special.
Yeah.
First and foremost, we had so many good cricketers. There were many. And we also had the golden generation that was still around. For example, one of my heroes, the people I look up to, Mr. Samuel Usimbi, he was still playing for Uganda in 1995.
Wow.
20 years after he had played in the World Cup, 1975. So just sharing a dressing room with him. But that time he was also, I think, coach, stroke player.
Okay.
And then there was, of course, Engineer Stephen Luswata. There was, of course, the late Mr. Kapere, Stephen, the Andrew Thienos, I think Henry Okecho was probably also part of the team. So basically there was a bit of a blend of experience and very, those of us who are really youth, teenagers. And so the great memory was that I was also alongside my classmates from Mwiri, in Guy Kimbo Alotaya and Simon Muyobo.
Wow.
We were all in that team, but I was debuting. I think Simon Muyobo had debuted probably a year before, as well as Guy. They had both debuted the year before, right here in Lugogo. So it was exciting. It was, wow, it was over the moon just to be part of the setup. Of course, there was an interesting culture there. The youngsters, we still had that culture where you have to respect the elders.
Yes.
You can't let your father carry a bag while you're there. No, you hurry up and carry their kit bag because you don't have one anyway. You're just 17 years of age. As again I said earlier on, we didn't have much equipment. So there was a team equipment, but there was also some personal equipment. And those are some of the little memories, the details. But getting onto the pitch, playing against South Africa Development 11, the likes of Paul Adams, bowling with an interesting, by then looked very awkward Chinaman action. He actually did bowl me out, I remember, very sad. But yes, all those are memories of my debut day with the national team.
Was also Zungu on that team?
I think, Zungu, Simon, Nsobuga probably debuted the following year. I'm not so sure, but no, it was the three of us. That was myself, Michael Grace Ndiko, then Guy Kimbo Alotaya, and Simon Muyobo, who were the youngest, the three youngsters. Of course, I know you may be wondering, Frank Nsobuga, he debuted the following year, 1996.
Oh, okay.
And I think that's when also Simon could have debuted. If not, probably for him it might have even been 1997. Remember, you mentioned Zongo. He started playing cricket much later, probably in his either S2 or S3. Yes, and by S5 or so. He was good, but there were many other good people. So it was much harder, and at the same time, you couldn't have so many Mwirians in the national team. It was not fair, so the selection was hard. Oh, one last thing. Actually, you did mention how did it happen. Before that, the selection was you had to play trial games. So you come all the way from Mwiri and come here on Saturdays and Sundays to play against the seniors. And you have to perform before you can get selected to make the team. So the whole process was very exciting but challenging.
Must have been tight.
Well, interestingly, as a youngster, you don't have much to look back to. You don't know so many things. So you kind of have a free spirit. We were not bothered about anything. And thankfully, like I mentioned, Guy Kimolta had already debuted. So we're like, this is our time. We're youngsters, but we're good enough. We'll be on the national team. So it wasn't necessarily that tight because we were also good. We were quite good players as much as we were young.
Okay. All right. I know when you're when you're playing the games of cricket, like playing games, there are some of those preparations people have to go through. So what preparations did you used to take or do with your mind as you prepare to go into a tournament yourself?
Wow. No, first of all, I must say thanks, because I did mention so much about how we were good, but also there was an enabling environment. We had some elders who really believed in us, the youngsters, the likes of Engineer Nainabo, Aloshas, Mr. Bob Kisuvis. So what they did is they would instill in us a sense of discipline, a sense of purpose and vision. And they would say everyone should take individual responsibility for their own game. For example, our coach, Mr. Justin Rijalinji, he would always challenge us, prepare well, make all the equipment that you need for the following day, wash your whites and everything, be ready. In other words, the whole weekend you're thinking about the game. So that kind of instilled in us a sense of responsibility, yes. Would personally think so much about the game, would prepare, would be in that right frame of mind that by the time you walk onto the pitch, you're like a well-lit match, you're just ready to burn. That's what would happen.
Okay.
Yes,
Mike Ndiko joining us on Square Cut Show, ladies and gentlemen. We are live here in Kampala. So taking you back on Cricket Week, What format was Cricket Week at that time?
I think it's similar format because we would play 25 overs.
Okay.
Yes, at the moment they do play 20 overs, but we used to play 25 overs. And I think there were about 8 schools, if I'm not mistaken, about 12 schools. And you'd have groups, Group A and Group B. And so the top players, the top 2 schools from each of the groups would now meet in the semi-finals, and then you'd have a finals. And the games would last all through the week, from Sunday up to Sunday. It would be Sunday you arrive, and sometimes would even arrive on Saturday, and then the games start. So you would play literally. I think there were instances where you'd have a rest day in between, depending on the number of teams. But later on, of course, the teams, because I did play in the schools week for the 6 years, call it 7, all the way from S1 to S6. So as the years progressed, some changes were made, but the formats were always
25
specific, 25 overs.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yeah, because I remember 25. It's of recent winter.
Turned to T20, yes.
Turned to T20.
That's true.
Yeah, but the 25 overs were good. We really enjoyed the 25 overs there.
You do mention about the 25 overs. Personally, I like to play the longer game.
Yeah.
And indeed, because we had an opportunity to start playing early in the league, like I mentioned in my S1, I was already playing for the school team, but we somehow got drafted into the Ginger team called Jack. So we'd get to play 50 overs. And it would be exciting just to be in the field. You go through the different motions, you think about the different times and moments within a game. So yes, 25 overs would be half the total, but you would feel like you've had a good time in the middle.
Yeah.
But 20, of course, only 5 overs, but it's a big change.
Okay. So what are like those schools? What were those schools you played against?
Wow.
The 12 schools you mentioned about.
Yeah, of course, you know which school I want to mention first. Yes, King's College Budo was our nemesis by then.
Yeah.
But later on, Kololo became quite strong, especially in my S3. That was about 1993, where you had Komakech.
Okay. Komakech is talked about. Everyone talks about Komakech.
No, Komakech James was a very, I mentioned I forgot to mention, when I debuted, Komakech James was also part of the team. The late James Shikuku was also part of the team.
Okay.
So it was a star-studded team. I think even, I'm trying to remember what other bigger names were there. But anyway, going back to the schools, the likes of Kololo SS, Kololo High, I think, very formidable opposition, because with Komakech, James there, the likes of Kasenge, was it Kasenge Peter? Sorry, I'm missing out the name, but they were really good. David Kasenge. So yes, that was interesting opposition. But of course, there was Makerere College School. There was, I think, Ntare School joined later on. But by then, it was mainly King's College Budo. Of course, there was Ginger SS. There was Mwiri. There was Ndeje. And then later on, of course, Chibuli took on cricket. And there were other schools there. Of course, Nyakasura was always there. Ntare School was always there. Although I'm not recalling so well if Ntare School could have played the very first, in my first year, that was 91. But then there were also the likes of Kasasa, St. Charles Ruanga.
By the way, Kasasa.
There were many schools,
really
many traditional
Kasasa?
schools, yes. Well, life, I guess, and circumstances did happen. I've not seen Kasasa back in a long time. But I miss those days. I miss those guys. We used to play, the camaraderie we had, but most importantly, the respect they would accord to Mwiri. Because we were like the team to beat in each tournament. But I must say, we lost actually the time I was the best bowler. Sorry. We did come number 5. I think we lost to either it was King's College Budo or it could have been between King's College Budo and Kololo SS. Sorry, my memory is a bit fuzzy there. Then the following year, 92, again we lost, I think, to King's College Budo in the semi. No, at that time I think we lost to Kololo in the semi-finals. And then 1993 we began winning. I don't remember, I think, until for about 7 to 10 years later, Mwiri was always winning.
Mwiri was always winning.
Sorry, not to rub it in, but it's just a fact of history. Yeah.
So, Mike, I would like to find out at least, because we are kind of coming back a bit before we
Yes.
get back to the national team.
Yes.
What are some of the clubs that you played for in Uganda?
Yes, my first club actually was a team called Cricket Masters Club.
Huh?
Yes, it was founded by my dad
Okay.
way back in Jinja. Now, Cricket Masters Club, together with Jinja Cricket Club and Realliance Club, it was a team of mainly Asian descent players.
Yeah.
They formed JAC, Jinja Association of Cricket Clubs, because those were teams within Jinja. There was a league in Jinja for different clubs, and they said, let's have one formidable team to play against the teams in Kampala and beyond, Mbarara and all. So that's when I now transitioned into JAC about 1991, 92. And then I moved on to play for Wanderers, of course. Wanderers by then was the strongest team, always winning almost every trophy. However, about 94, 95 also, there was a team called Nile that came up, Nile Cricket Club. It would also win some games. Then there was, of course, KICC and Premier. Those were also strong teams. But personally, by then, I did play, after playing for Cricket Masters Club, I played for JAC, and then Wanderers, then Tornado Cricket Club.
I think you must have spent most of the time in Tornado.
No, ironically, actually, most of my time was with JAC.
Yeah. Oh.
Yes, but my much visibility came between Wanderers and Tornado, yes.
Okay.
Especially Tornado kind of was my high moment in the game.
I'm surprised that you didn't play for SEC.
SEC is the only club I didn't play for.
Wow.
Of course, I had a kind of, I did have a bit of sabbatical, as my good friend Innocent Naula, a media guru, mentions. I did have a sabbatical between 2005 up to about 2011-12.
Yeah.
And by that time I did play for, I didn't play much cricket, but when I returned I did play for Nile.
Yeah.
So Nile is the other only club I did play for.
Okay. Oh, nice. Oh, you're the guys who have played cricket for so long.
Oh, sorry, I forgot. And I did play for KICC as well as one of my retiring clubs. Yes, Kampala Institute Cricket Clubs.
Okay.
Yes.
So, as we get back to the national team.
Yes.
So, before playing, do you visualize a lot before getting on to play cricket?
Oh, yes. I
used to visualize a lot.
I do. My approach was I had to like relive the moment. Pre-live.
Yeah.
Kind of imagine how would the first over go, how would the second over go. Of course, earlier on in my career, or rather in between, in the early years, it did affect me so much because I would overthink my game.
Yeah.
I would even imagine which bowling change would come on, at what time, what would happen, what are the circumstances, what would be my scoring options. Yes, I used to think through a lot. And so that, I think what you're calling visualization, in my understanding, is I would kind of imagine myself in a situation a day before. And then on the day itself, I would relax on the morning of the game, because I would kind of come with a mental overload, just with all those details of the game coming into the match day. However, I would make sure I come early and just practice, warm up a bit and get myself going, and then get ready to wait for the communication for the toss and all those details. Yeah, so this sometimes, yes, you do mention visualization. Of course, later on in coaching, they will tell you take some time, maybe 5 minutes. I wouldn't necessarily do the one in the dressing room or the few minutes before the game. No, I prefer to just remain relaxed, probably even get my mind away to the beach or what, until they say, hey, we're now going to go, and that's when I would switch back on. That's what I would do.
Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Alpha Adoa on Square Cut Show. I'm still with Mike Ndiko. We are live in Kampala. Don't forget to subscribe on Square Cut Show Words of Hope. Subscribe, like, share with all the friends out there. We really need to see this, this channel growing. Mike, don't you want to see the channel growing and growing all over?
Absolutely. The Square Cut Show is such a wonderful show. I would recommend it highly. Why? Because it gives insight, perspective, and a very great background to the game of cricket, especially in Uganda, but the whole of Africa, and to the rest of the world. There's a lot to benefit from all of these stories. I know you've had probably many other guests on this show.
Yeah.
So I'm very glad and blessed to be here.
Oh,
I
thank
would
you.
recommend it highly.
Really, I really thank you. That the time you provided me, I told it's been a year getting you. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. I'm
You're
very glad to
welcome.
be here.
Yeah. So, I would like you to tell us about that feel you had getting on your first plane to play for Uganda.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things we used to joke about is we regret that the under-19 World Cup and games hadn't yet come in our time.
Oh, yeah.
But 1995 was there for me. My first experience on the plane was because of cricket. And again, I'm so grateful to God for cricket. So I did travel to Dar es Salaam, Tanzania. The flight wasn't so long, probably 1 hour, 30 minutes, because we kind of had a stopover in Nairobi. But the whole experience was just overwhelming. And again, as a teenager, adrenaline rush, imagination, everything was just overwhelming because that was now my first moment. I was really traveling without my dad. And so there were mixed emotions. It was quite an experience. Interestingly, 3 days later, my dad showed up in Dar es Salaam. He came by road. So again, we were reunited in that experience. Because to me, in cricket, it has mainly been with my dad around me.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, okay. That's good. That's good to hear about that.
Thank you.
Okay. So, during your time of play,
Yes.
what's that best batting partnership still in your memories that you had?
Wow. Okay. Partnerships per se, it is very hard, but I would
Playing for
want
Uganda.
to. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say I had a couple of them, but especially while playing for Uganda, I had quite an interesting experience, especially opening the bat with Micheal Body,
Yeah.
currently the chief of selectors of Uganda. It
telling
was
you,
quite
Micheal
an
Body,
experience.
I need your interview soon. Soon. I need to know. I need to find out more. The viewers really want to hear about your stories. Everyone talks about you. So soon, I'm with you, Micheal Body. Let's go on.
Well, let me join the bandwagon, but no, to me it was an experience.
Yeah.
Because I joined the national team more as a bowler, good fielder, as a youngster. That was 95, but by 1997, 98, I began to transition into a formidable batter. So by 1998, again, when I resumed my role onto the national team, I was returning as an opening batter.
Wow.
So as an opening batsman, my immediate partnership, I was partnering with Micheal Body, so that's why it's very memorable. It's a memorable treasure I have within my heart. But I must say later on I played with a couple of other partners. Comes to mind the late, I think, Charles Luanga. Sometimes with Joel Orenyi. But the one that really stood out longest is when I did partner with Benjamin Musoke.
Wow.
And why it's special is it was my highest experience, especially in 2004. Yes, 2003, 2004. But in 2004, when Namibia, we had a good long partnership opening stand, and it was a 3-day game. So it was out there in the good sun of Windhoek, Namibia.
What were the runs of that partnership?
Oh no, sorry, I think I don't recall, but it was over 50 runs. I think it could have been over 50 runs.
Yeah.
Opening stand, opening pair. Unfortunately, I got run out. Worst way for an opening batter to get out. I particularly remember it because the coach really had to roast me. But just remember the context was we had fielded our 90 overs. I don't recall very well if we fielded up to the second day, but bottom line is we batted after Namibia had batted and posted 270. And so we were chasing. So in hindsight, not that I'm defending myself, there was a bit of lapse in concentration, and I hit the ball straight. I thought it was going for 4 runs, and went and hit the other stumps. And the bowler returned, picked up the ball, and ran me out on the striker's end because I was kind of backing up to try and make a single.
Yeah.
And that was it. But the awareness to quickly return to my crease was what broke that partnership. But why I remember it was so special. I only scored 23 runs in that partnership, but because it was my it could have been my first second or first experiences with the 3-day game. Yes, so it was very special. And Benjamin Musoke was on the other end. He went on to score about 60 or 50 something because he batted on long, and indeed Uganda won that match.
Oh,
yes.
Okay.
The first time we did beat Namibia.
Okay. What are some of those sledges you have faced before? Memorable sledges.
Well, as a batter, you kind of, honestly, I used to tune out the voices.
Yeah.
But sometimes, people would sledge you and you would really even almost smile about it. Like a particular one, I think I remember it could have been against Kenya. And they were like, oh, he's already stepping forward, he wants to walk off already or something like that. As in, okay, I would kind of make that initial step of coming forward as if to come into the position, to get into a position to play the front foot drive, shots or anything like the front foot defensive. So the kind of sledge were like, oh, he's already stepping forward, he wants to march out, that kind of thing. And then it kind of disorganized me because now suddenly I was more cautious not to plant my foot forward, lest trap LBW, and I think in the process I did sneak it back to the sleeves because my feet weren't moving. So unfortunately it worked, the sledge worked.
So you remember who are some of those players of Namibia whom you played against during that time?
Wow.
A few that you remember were outstanding.
There were the Baga brothers.
Yeah.
I'm forgetting their first names, but one was, I think, Gary Bag or something like that.
Yeah.
But there was also Gary Sneyman.
Okay.
Very interesting guy. But he was much young, I think. I'm not. My memory is not serving me so well in terms of whether I met him as a player or as a coach. But I remember the tall guys. There was an opening batter, very formidable. The guy would literally bat as if he doesn't want to go off, and you would keep bowling and sledging him, he wouldn't get off. But yeah, I remember some of those players of Namibia, yes. They were very interesting guys. The likes of Williams, I think, came much later.
Yeah. Okay. What do you remember at that time when you were getting onto that pitch?
Yes.
What was in your mind by that time when you were getting onto that pitch in Namibia?
Well, first of all, I must say the background was we arrived there, I think it could have been Thursday or Wednesday, I don't recall so well, but at least it was more than a day. Yes, I think we arrived there, we could have arrived on Wednesday. Of course, budgetary issues, we used not have a lot of time to be on ground to acclimatize. But we had a build-up in South Africa, probably for a week or so. So the moment we arrived during the debrief and all, they were saying, so now you see, gentlemen, this is a new game, the new format, and we were wondering, please, you can't start telling us that those are little mind games you're trying to play on us. And you see, for you as Uganda now, this is your first time you're doing this, and we're like, no, we're here to play, not to compete, not to learn anything from you necessarily.
Yeah.
So they one of the officials was like, so you see, maybe we could agree in case, maybe we should have a game, a one-day game later on Sunday, because we know this game might end by Saturday morning or afternoon. And we looked at him, people weren't amused, they weren't impressed by such comments, whatever he intended it to be, because we knew we had come to play a 3-day game Friday to Sunday. But he was saying that Uganda, you're not so good in batting, so we don't think you'll last the 2 days or so batting, and I know Namibia may bat the whole of Friday, so by Saturday afternoon the game is over. So we just laughed it off. And personally, when I went into bat, those words kept ringing back. I said, no, whatever the case, they are not getting me. So in that first inning, I remember, that's how we were able to have that 50-run partnership.
Okay.
In my mind, I was always quenching that thought that no, we're going to bat and bat long.
Was that the time Joel Owen joined you guys?
Joel Rennie was part of the team, yes. Junior Kwebiha was part of the team.
Okay.
Because we're talking 2000. Junior Kwebiha actually was the captain of the team.
Okay.
Yes, 2003, 2004. Oh. But in Namibia particularly, it was 2004. Of course, there was Kenneth Kamyuka. And I think there was also Richard Okia. There were the two opening bowlers. Of course, Frank Nsubuga was there.
Actually, I would love to have an interview with Kenneth Kamyuka soon.
That's good.
Whether it's a Zoom interview, I'll have that interview with him.
Very exciting, well-spirited player.
Yeah.
He was one of the opponents I like to play against.
Yeah.
Because he was much younger than me. Okay, not much, but because I was, I think, in S6 or S5, he was in S1.
Okay.
But as a youngster, he always wanted to get my wicket.
Oh.
And I made sure that I would try to hit him for 4 or 6 and that kind of yeah. But later on, of course, as a teammate with the national team, he kind of would have preference because he was an opening bowler, I was an opening batter.
Yeah.
Of course, in training, you're kind of always facing off. He's opening the bowling, you're opening the batting. But yes, for the national team later, he went on to really have a good career with Uganda, yes.
Okay. So who are those memorable guys you remember playing for Team Uganda?
Yeah.
Like that when the person would get onto the field to bat the bat, you would know that now it's game down.
Of course, that's Nehal Bibodi. Why? Because he kind of, he told me he would count his runs. That was the way he would concentrate. Everyone has their way of concentrating. His was to count the runs.
Okay.
So each time he's scoring, he knows they are his runs. And many a time I caught him correcting the scoreboard that no, it's supposed to be 44, not 42. And indeed they will calculate and say, oh yeah, sorry, it's 44.
He was always count his runs.
So he was that kind of batter.
Okay.
But especially on the international scene, he loved a good challenge. If say the bowlers are bowling good bouncers and good swing, seam bowling, and he would get in there. Later on, of course, he became number 3, number 4 batter. But he was always your reliable person there to take the team through.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So what was that best? What was your debut team? And how did it used to happen when playing that team?
Well, it depended. When I was still with
like
Jack,
how you see, no. I'm talking about like international. We are now in
international.
Now, like how you see when India is playing Pakistan, you know what really happens. Now for Uganda during your time, what was that team and what really used to happen during that time?
Shockingly, in my time, because Uganda mainly was playing against the likes of Tanzania, Malawi, Zambia. We really say he was a derby because Uganda there are times even they would send us as under-19s to go and play them, and we would come back with a trophy. So really there wasn't that much competition. Later on, we began to play the real Kenya, because Kenya would also send a development team, just like we would also send our development team. But towards the end of my career, definitely the debut was playing against Kenya. Especially by 2013 when I was retiring.
Tell me about that temperament when you played.
Actually, in the build-up, because we had many build-up games with Kenya as well, before we'd go for tournaments. Like I remember before going to Bermuda in 2013, we did have a good stint with the Kenyan team to build up for that tournament. And oh my, to me one of those great memories were Alfred Luceno bowling his outswingers. Literally at some point, Uganda, we were, I think, 11 for 5. Was it 11 for 5 or 15 for 5?
Wow.
All the top order were all bowled or caught behind. I was caught behind. I kind of shuffled and sneaked it to slips. So it was quite a match. But by the third game, when we went to play them in Sarali, this time I said, even though I'm a top order batter, I'm opening the batting, I'm going to go T20 style.
Yeah.
And right from the start, I was just hitting the ball left, right, and center. And I got out 36 of maybe 20 balls.
Yeah.
But altogether, playing against Kenya was a team. I mean, the energy, the pre-match, the preview, the experience, everything was all just tuned up there. The reason why earlier on Kenya was much higher, you remember in 2003, World Cup, of course, Kenya was number 3, even beating India in the World Cup. So by that time, they would literally, they wouldn't tell us, it was obvious, they were a step much higher than Uganda.
The likes of Tikolo was...
Steve Tikolo, yes, was the captain, and they had the Maurice Odumbes, they had the Martin Sujis, so definitely Thomas Odoyo. I did play against Thomas Odoyo, kind of in under-19 Jack tours, before he joined the national team of Kenya. But altogether, yes, we always relished the opportunity to beat the senior national Kenya team. Yeah.
And what has been your best cricket venue you have played on in the world?
Well, I must still say it is Wanderers, Windhoek, Namibia. Why? Because of that memory of winning our first 3-day match as Uganda, but also beating Namibia for the first time. Yeah. 22 years ago. No, 21 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
So who is the best player you have played with, and something you admired about that person's style of play? What was your first impression of each other?
Interestingly,
International.
I must say it would still be like him.
Okay.
Why? Because he was an all-round player.
Yeah.
He was a great player, a great captain. Even now, because I think risk officer, the chief risk officer of Absa Bank.
Yeah.
So his leadership really has shown throughout the years. But while as a player, I was so impressed that this teenager could think and make gut decisions, make serious calls. As a matter of fact, he's one of the few talents Uganda felt they lost at the national team. Because Micheal debuted in 1994 by about 2001. He was not really playing for Uganda anymore due to academic, demands and life changes and choices. But to me, that one, he really impressed me so much. Just throughout those 6 or so years, 6 or 5 years with the national team, he really impressed me. But because he had already made an impression as a youngster, and of course he was my captain when we were in Mwiri, so internationally he did impress me so much that way. And also partly because I did have my sabbatical in about 2004. So most of the players I played with at the national team, they were all very good. They were all very different. But the one that I had that close kind of dealing and relationship with was always Guy Kimball time.
Okay. Yes. So ladies and gentlemen, as we are getting towards the end of this segment, I would like to thank you all for watching this and subscribing. Those who have liked, keep liking. Those who are sharing, keep sharing. So as we are concluding, we would like to find out, Mike, how many tournaments have you, international tournaments have you played? And what was your best innings playing for Uganda?
Wow. International tournaments are really many. I can't put them on them. But I could have played List A matches, actually very few, what is considered List A matches, because that was the time when we were playing the 3-day matches. Later on they became 4-day matches, but about that time is when I had my sabbatical. Then later on, the World Cricket League, I think Division 2, which I think I did miss out. I did play in the Division 3, but then missed out on 2. So altogether they could have been about 20 at that level. But playing for Uganda altogether, probably 40 matches altogether that I had.
Okay.
And the best inning, really, I must say again, is to me that List A match in Namibia.
The one in Namibia?
Yeah.
Oh.
Why? Because it was the whole moment.
Yeah.
Just to quickly remind you, while back in Kampala, by then we didn't have mobile phones. We had to use the landline calls. There was no internet, was there, but very limited to a few.
Yeah.
So communication used to take longer, and it was mainly by phone call. So we called Lugogo and told them we had won. They said, you guys are lying. Don't play with us. We're not kids. How did you beat Namibia?
Yeah.
Did you even play? What? We thought you guys had stopped playing because there was no live stream. There was no following the games on a daily. But by Sunday afternoon, we were telling, Uganda has won. We chased down the total score of the 2 innings that we played. And to me, that was so memorable because we kind of had a mental, psychological challenge, both on the field, but also back home.
Okay. And lastly, Mike, when did you retire? When did you retire from international cricket?
I could have.
Okay. When did you now give up with your Ugandan jersey?
Interestingly, it wasn't willingly, but it was circumstantial.
Okay.
After the Bermuda tournament, when I just returned, so just after helping the team to qualify, to go to the global qualifiers in New Zealand 2014, January, I was asked to step aside in waiting. And while stepping aside in waiting, I chose to take on coaching roles. So I must say I did retire in 2014, 11 years ago.
Oh, okay. That was tremendous. Okay. At least it's good to hear that you had that impact on the team, and we really appreciate all that time.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so what are your parting remarks to to the viewers out there and to the youngsters who really want to play the game of cricket, and they are playing also.
Thank you very much, Alpha, my brother. Indeed, it is always a great honor to be part of cricket. It was a great honor for me donning the Ugandan jersey. Of course, it began as a white, and I was so glad to be part of that team. And it was a great honor because I had the support of my family. I did mention my dad, but also my brother, George, used to help me a lot with pocket money here and there, but also sometimes just even some at a time when we had tickets, you had to pay for our own tickets when we went as under 19 team of Uganda to Zimbabwe. My brother also chipped in with the air ticket, and also my point is family is the most important experience everyone should have. Thankfully in cricket we do find another family, and I would say always make your part to be a part of the cricketing family, but most importantly be willing to give your part in contributing to this family. And for every youngster out there, I would encourage you, cricket is the greatest choice. Why? My father told me cricket is the sport that will give you longevity most. Football by about 29, 30, maximum 35. Forget about Lewandowski scoring goals for fun at 36. But mainly footballers put an end to their career by 30. Cricket, even by 40, you could easily just revive your career, especially in the batting department and spin bowling. So I would encourage every youngster to make a choice for cricket, because ultimately you not only get the experience of playing a game that you love, but you play it for a very long time. And also cricket is both a team game but also an individual effort. So it gives both worlds of participating in a sport, an individual but also as a team. So it gives you both worlds of experience. And it is something that I would so much encourage for anyone that wants to engage in sport to play cricket. And to you, Square Cut Show, thank you very much. Thank you, Alpha. It's been a great pleasure to be here.
Thank you very much for honoring our invite.
My pleasure.
We really appreciate that.
My pleasure.
Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, we understand Mike ventured into coaching. So, in our next segment, we shall be having Mike talking about his journey through coaching, and then of late, I understand he's also among the commentators. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Stay on Square Cut Show, Words of Hope. This is where we shall be bringing you very different kind of sports personalities, talking about their lifestyle, when did they begin playing the game, what happened, and all those things. We thank you very much. Stay hooked. Subscribe to Square Cut, like, share. Thank you very much. My name is Alpha. I salute.